Shut up, listen up, everybody, what up? Gonna put it in a podcast, but what's up? We talk, we laugh, we sing, we dance, we'll do anything if you give us a chance. We'll play one time, it'll help us out. All truth, no lies, no, it's never a doubt. If you like rants, tirades, and honest opinions, we shoot from the hip and we're here with precision. Give us one chance to play Opinion Bros podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Los Spooky Bros. Yeah. This is our second episode in our horror or Halloween anthology series. And I'm joined today by...
It's me again, the oldest brother, Armando.
Yeah, and Alberto 333. It seems like we can't get Alec to come out with you. It's either me and him or me and you, but not all of us.
No, yeah. Well, I'm telling you, it's you're gonna have to decide which brother you prefer because apparently, me and him are no longer allowed to be in the same room or even on the same episode.
So yeah, I think he's at a concert, but the Violent Femmes, I think he's gonna go see perform. And if I sound a little groggy, it's because I just woke up. I was taking a little nap break, and I am feeling kind of funny.
No,
but yeah, I mean, I still want to bring this episode to my diehard fans or our diehard fans.
Yeah. All the ones in Germany and Mexico.
Yeah.
And like the two people that we know that listen to
it. I mean, it's like 1 or 2% in Germany of all places. I don't know if that's just some sort of bug or whatever, but if we do have some German fans, like, yeah, hey, thank you. I don't even know how to say thank you in German.
I like talking to you.
I don't know, yes, I don't know. They come from the land of chocolate.
Yeah. Homer.
Yeah, that was 20 minutes ago. Well, yeah. I mean, before we get started, just wanted to check in and see if you've seen anything horror related. Horror. I mean, it doesn't have to be horror. Halloween related. Recently.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw. Well, this isn't horror related. I do have one horror because I've been starting to watch horror movies this week. The new Black Panther trailer that came out.
No, I didn't. I've seen some controversy around it, but I'm just waiting. I'm not in a rush to see it.
Oh, well, I mean, I won't spoil it. Man, it looks good. It looks good. It looks like it's gonna be like sad and beautiful. The you know what? Namor being the antagonist, Namor the Submariner, who's basically like Marvel's Aquaman. Even though he predates Aquaman, he's known as like the first mutant in Marvel. Because he was the first mutant to debut back in like what was it, like the late 30s or 40s. Hated the like. I don't like that character. I have like nothing about him like strikes me as
he's always been a jerk.
Yeah, he's always been a dick, and he's always trying to bang like Susan Richards from the Invisible Woman from the Fantastic Four. So he's never gotten like I've always like preferred Aquaman. Aquaman's a badass, but goddamn, Ryan Coogler, you picked, you like redid the whole Atlantis thing to make it like based off of Aztec and Mayan culture, and oh man, it looks beautiful. Like the throne that Namor sits on is like the jaw of a megalodon. He looks like he's an Aztec warrior. They call him like the feathered serpent god. He has like this like feathered serpent headdress, and Tenoch Huerta, who's gonna portray him. He's Latino. He's just like I'm excited. They kind of revealed, I think, who's gonna be the new Black Panther. I already picked who I wanted to be Black Panther, the new Black Panther, but like it doesn't matter. Like all those actors are great. Um,
All of them.
and yeah, well, I mean, I enjoyed everybody in the Black Panther movie. I don't think anybody gave a bad performance. My biggest issue with the first movie was the CGI, was
Yeah.
just the overabundance of the third eye, which happens in like every superhero movie. But the fact that Chadwick Boseman passed away, I think lends, his shadow is kind of over it, but not in a sense that I'm gonna be like, fuck, man, he's not in it. Like his presence is gonna be felt, and I think it's gonna be felt in the way it's meant to be portrayed, in loss. And I think everybody's gonna step up their game, so I'm excited for that. Then I just saw, I've been watching like TV spots for Black Adam, and I'm actually pretty excited. The JSA's in it, Hawkman's in it, Doctor Fate looks awesome by being played by Pierce Brosnan. Cyclone looks cool. Like all the fact that the Justice Society's in it. I'm beginning to come around. Like The Rock sounds like The Rock. Like, but I I'm gonna give him a chance, and I know he loves his character. So I'm just excited to see The Rock throw down, and I kind of like him as a bad guy. I know he's an anti-hero, but like in Doom, when he was the good guy in that, and then he turns into the bad guy in the last like 30 minutes. Like I don't mind The Rock being like a little dark, a little shady, not being the Tooth Fairy or whatever the game plan type of Rock.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. But horror wise, you had told me you had seen The Flight Part 2,
Oh yeah.
and so I checked it out. It's on HBO Max. Give it a watch, guys, if you haven't seen it. I know Alex loves that effing movie. It's written by Shawshank Redemption's. Oh my God, why can't I think of the director's name? I'm always talking about him too.
I know.
Jesus
Frank
Christ. Frank Darabont. It's written by Frank Darabont, Mick Garris. Mick Garris. You guys know who Mick Garris is. That guy's written like a lot of he's done one of my favorite King book. He did the Stand. He wrote Hocus Pocus. He but I watched The Fly because you had mentioned it, The Fly Part 2. And damn, that movie is freaking mean-spirited, man. It is. I think we were talking about how, so the end of The Fly, the main character, Gina Davis's character, gets impregnated with Jeff Goldblum's baby, who may or may not be a fly. Well, it turns out it's a effing fly. So she gives birth to like this pupa thing, and it turns into a kid. And like the kid, because he has fly DNA, he is growing up really fast. And so by 2 years old, he's like 10 and so on. And he lives in this like this umbrella corporation. I think it's called Bartok Industries. And
that's awesome.
and there's like this guy who's like Mr. Burns, who's like in charge of, Mr. and he's like the first scene where he comes in, he's talking to his board of directors, and I think I told you it made me laugh, where he's like, all of you answer to me, and I answer to no one but to God. I'm like, what the fuck board meeting is this? Like,
Don't worry, guys.
yeah,
It's just Mr. Bartok again.
yeah, that crazy Mr. Bartok. Oh man, but yeah, they're super shady. Like everybody who probably works there is like some sort of just an asshole. Like the head of security is played by Optimus Prime, this actor, and like he hates the little kid for no reason. Like he's introduced in a scene where he's just like using a taser, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna tase that little creep." And I'm like, why?" And so the boy, Jeff Goldblum's son, he's really smart, and and he's growing up really fast, and he's by the time he's like 5, I think he's a teenager or like into like young 20s. But he finds out that he's going to die because he has this DNA that's making him age fast. and then he falls in love with the only nice person at the company, and and then because he's turning into a fly just like his dad, and he finds out that that's like he didn't know he had fly DNA. He just knew he had like some sort of disease that was making him grow fast. And then the last 30 minutes is like a pure horror, like a practical extravaganza, just of gore and blood. Like people's heads explode, people's faces melt
Faces,
off.
no, and they're still alive.
And they're still alive. Like that dude, the security guard, he turns into the guy turns into a fly. This giant, like almost 8-foot fly, Hulk size fly. No wings. I never understood why none of the flies had wings.
Too expensive. The movie is kind of a slower paced movie, I think. And it's not. I'm gonna say it's definitely not as good as the first one, but
No,
but
it's nowhere near as
it's
good
a
as the first one.
yeah, it's a decent movie. And
If you, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that it's worth exploring that world. I was just gonna say that afterwards, after I had seen part two, I was looking up online like I always do, and got a Wikipedia everything. I guess
Yeah,
that the director of the first one had said that he was
Cronenberg.
willing, yeah, that he was willing to revisit the first one and tell a different story, but he was like, I'm not going to tell you my idea because I don't want to spoil it. And I don't
Hmm.
know what he was the way he described it was almost like it'd be a side story, but it would still have Jeff Goldblum, and he was like, Jeff was like, yeah, I'd be down to come out, if he wants to bring me back somehow. I think it'd be crazy, but like we could do this.
Yeah, yeah. Cronenberg's had an idea, I think, percolating since like 2015, because I remember reading up on that, and like he was always willing to come back to do like some reboot or sequel or something, um, like a different take, something like more modernized take, like the first Fly, is basically it's a character study almost, and it's the way it's portrayed. It's almost like the AIDS crisis, like what the underlying theme was, like when AIDS was like at its peak, and how all these young men would like start withering away because of because of AIDS,
I've never
and
seen it
just,
like that.
yeah, or like a cancer, like because they just their body is deteriorating, and then and they're not looking like they once were. um but yeah, I mean, the Fly 2 is like a popcorn flick, a creature feature, like straight up B movie. There's no nuance to it, but that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's fun. Like I said, the last half hour is just blood and gore, and just it's so gooey and mean spirited. And it's just fun to see those special effects, because I always gear more towards practical effects. And but the first one, yeah, the first one, I can't wait. I'm later this month. Um, I just want to revisit it, just because I grew up loving that movie. And it's both sad and scary, and
It's
yeah, it's like it's
everything you want in a horror movie.
yeah, and yeah, I can't wait to re-see that one. But in both of them, if you guys are willing to check it out, they're both on HBO Max right now. The only other thing I've seen was, and I was excited to watch this, but it kind of turned out to be like a movie, was my best friend's Exorcism. Um, this was a this was a movie based off of a book. I started reading it, and I didn't get to finish it. I was like halfway. I'm trying to think of the writer of the book, Owen Grady. He wrote the Final Girls. What was it? The Final Girl
Health group.
Support Group. Which, yeah, which if you guys haven't read, it's great. Like, I want to see that as a TV show or a movie. But My Best Friend's Exorcism is basically like two kind of like Mean Girls if it was like put in, the late 1980s. And basically it's two best friends who obviously the prettier one gets possessed by a demon, and then the not so pretty one, the quote unquote not pretty one, has to like save her soul. And the trailer made it look fun. Like, they had 80s music, and it looked, it didn't, I thought it was gonna be PG-13. I think it was rated R. But watching it, it's like, why was it rated R? Like, it's kind of a meh movie. It's not very funny, and it's not very scary. And that's what it was basically trying to tell you, is like, it's going to be a fun, scary movie. And it's kind of boring, and I think that's the biggest letdown,
One
is
of
the
the
fact that
worst
it's
feelings. Yeah.
yeah, it's like a nothing movie, and the fact that it takes place in the 80s, from like maybe a few music and like pop culture references. Like, why was it made supposed like why would it be placed in the 80s? Use the year that it's supposed to take place into effect. um and like, when I read the book, basically that's like the first 10 minutes, even though I think it was like the first 50 pages that I read or whatever. And like, I felt more connected to the characters in the book than I did in the movie. uh they do the thing where it's like, they, instead of showing, they tell. And that's like, if you're gonna, like, movies are a visual, or a visual medium, like, show the things. Like, I did best friends since they were little kids, but they don't show that. And so I'm like, I don't really care about the relationship. There's some vomiting in there, like The Exorcist, and it's fine. It didn't make me laugh. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't, it could have been a lot funnier, and it could, like, if you're gonna and The Exorcist, like, those are two, probably, like, some of the best movies in their own genre. And it's like, you kind of just make a fizzle version of it. I mean, the actors did what they could. The director, I've never heard, Damon Thomas. I never heard. I've not seen. I Wikipedia, like you said. As soon as the movie was over, I Wikipedia this person. I'm like, okay, who is this guy? Like, I didn't see anything else. The writer had written some, like, I think, like a family episode and a Rick and Morty episode or something. But yeah, so that my horror viewing experience hasn't been I guess hasn't started with a bang yet. Before we started this, I started watching Hellraiser, the original one,
Where is it
just
on?
because they're both Hell. If you guys are gonna watch Hellraiser, just watch one and two, and maybe part four. I actually don't mind part four. They're both on Amazon.
Oh,
So Hellraiser and Hellbound Hellraiser 2. So I'm about to watch. I was just in the middle of watching the first one. I just started it because the new one's coming out. The reboot or the remake, I think comes out this Friday on Hulu. So I kind of wanted to, like, you don't need to watch these movies to watch the new one, but I kind of wanted to revisit them because it's been a while since I've seen them. And I know Hellraiser used to freak me out, when I was little. Um, so what about you? Have you seen anything else, or?
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't started doing my horror watching yet. Um, for some reason, it feels like October creeped up out of nowhere. But you know,
It did.
yeah. So I've been watching, or at least I've been looking to see what's on sale, because I do really like the sales they have during October. Um, and there's nothing really that exciting right now that's been. You were talking about Stephen King earlier, and that's on my to watch list is The Shining, Doctor Sleep. I've seen them already, but I do love those movies. Um,
Yeah,
and
Doctor
then
Sleep is great.
uh, again that Stephen King, The Stand. A lot of
Yeah.
people have said that that new one sucks. I've seen all the reviews and stuff, and it's currently on sale. I think on Vudu, um, but I don't want to buy just that. They're selling a 2-pack at Best Buy, or anywhere, I guess, of the original The Stand and then the new one. But it's like
Oh,
$30, so I don't really want to spend that. I do. I love the original TV special one. I saw it not too long ago. And I'm like, you know what? Some effects maybe don't hold up and costumes or whatever, but man, that I thought it was legit. Like it was still a very well done special.
well,
But
yeah, because we
the,
have to
the
do that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, the one I did buy, I just bought it like a few hours ago. They came out with the documentary or behind the scenes of the original TV special of It, and so
Yes.
I'm excited to watch that. It that movie affected me when I was a kid. Uh, really scary, creepy, terrifying, and it stuck with me as an adult as well. And I watched that one not too long ago, and I think it is so superior to the new It, which I thought was pretty
Oh,
crummy. It's one of the well, I know that most people say of the new It retelling or whatever, that part one is way, I mean, that it's really well done, and then the second part sucks. But I mean, I don't know, what were you gonna say?
oh no. Well, that's what I say. Did you think all of it was crummy of like chapter one and two of the retelling? Because I really enjoyed. You know what? I actually enjoyed both. My only gripe with the second one, the second part of it chapter two was I feel like everybody loved those kids so much and with great like and they should because those kids were great. Now they're in their 20s or whatever, but like I think that was their crutch for the second one. It's like I wanted to see the adults. I was like, this was your chance to kind of like overcome the hurdle of the second half of it, the original, the 90s series, because a lot of people don't like the adult portion. I don't have any issues with it. Like I love it. I love both, I guess, versions. I just thought that the fact that they ended up using the kids a lot in the second one was like a detriment to that story. But like Bill Hader gives a hell of a performance, and the one that plays Eddie, he also knocks it out of the park. And the dude who, well, I think everybody, all the adults do a great job um, in the movie. I just feel like they were like, man, everybody loved the kids so much, we had to bring them back, and
Oh
to the
yeah, yeah.
part where they had to like CGI. What's his name? Finn. Oof, come on, guys. Like, just focus on the adults. Like, things can be scary as an adult. Like, um, but no, I mean, yeah, it was a big thing. I don't know if you remember, we used to back when we used to hang out with like Paula, Romina, our cousins Michael and Junior. The few times we would hang out with each other, we used to call ourselves the Loot. Remember that?
But no, not at all. I didn't know that
Yeah,
was a
so,
thing.
yeah. That was it was only for like 2 minutes because it was 1990 when it came out. Um, so I think it was like eight. You had to be like what? eh, Just a couple of like
Four, four, I don't know, six.
4 or 5, yeah. But yeah, we used to walk around just like in the backyard and stuff and just pretend we were like the Losers Club because that movie because we looked at those kids and I think that was the first time we saw something where we were like holy cow, we're in the horror movie. Like it's about kids,
Yeah,
like you would always see the teenagers, but this were like almost little kids,
yeah,
like not yet puberty has hit. So I think that's there's a lot of movies. Stephen King's been part of our lives since like the beginning.
yeah. That's
But
why.
yeah.
Yeah, it's always been you know really, really huge impact. But yeah, I just bought that, so I'm excited to get into that. And yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'll do a quick review on that later when we get to it. Tonight's main focus, I guess, is just um, another kind of ghost story. Um, and I was gonna tell them, so because you did one yesterday, but I think mine are both kind of short, so I'm just gonna tell two of them back to back, just because they're, I think, really short. I don't really, I mean, honestly, I've never seen anything like supernatural or whatever, so that's why it almost feels disappointing. Um, but I mean, I remember telling Katrina, like, "Oh, I'd like to just see a ghost, like I just want to see
Yeah.
something. Um, but we'll take a quick break and then we'll get right into it. So we'll be back, and we're back. So I'm thinking, man, these are going to be really short stories. Um, but I'll just get right into it. Anything you want to say before I start?
No, just I hope they're as scared. Pants. That's what I want.
No, we can't say that on this podcast.
Oh, okay. I wanted to make poopy pants.
Yeah, baby made a boom boom.
Oh, God.
Okay, so
But no, yeah, take it away.
yeah, okay, all right. So this is a true story, and it's probably more weird than anything, but um, yeah, there's nothing supernatural, or maybe there is. Who knows? Maybe it's just a bunch of kids. But so back in grade school, I'm forgetting what grade it was, sixth or seventh grade, maybe. Um, back in grade school, we used lunch cards for, going to lunch. We had to present the card, and then we would get the lunch, and all of them had our names on them. Well, I remember getting my lunch card, um, and and I had it. You would get it right maybe a class or two before lunch, and I remember getting mine, and when I got mine, it had a sticky note on the back. It had a sticky note that said, "Call me," with a phone number on it. I just thought that was the weirdest thing. Like, what is this? What, call me? I had no idea what this was. And what makes it even weirder is the teacher hands you the lunch card. So what happened in between there. So I
Yeah,
remember showing my friend that card and being like, what the heck is this? Who, someone's playing around with me, like wanting me to call them. They must be desperate, and it's some like lonely girl or something like that has the hots for me. And so we were laughing about it, and he took the sticky note, crumbled it up, and tossed it. And part of me was just like really curious, like, oh damn, like I would have liked to call to see what that was about. But I was never
that
able to get that phone number again, because the room he threw it in, we couldn't go back into, and so it was whatever. And then maybe a day or two later, the same thing happens. That you know, I I got the lunch card again, and this time it was written right on the back. No sticky note, just someone took a pen and wrote on there. No phone number this time, but it said call exclamation point. And I think I had shown that to the teacher, or when I had to turn it in, the teacher saw it and got upset at me. And I told him, like, I did not do this. It's not my thing. Why would I write on the lunch card? And it makes no sense. Why am I going to put call? So, that went away. I turned it in, whatever. And then, some time passed and it never came up again, but it was so weird. But this one time, I don't, I want to say maybe a week later, when we were, this is back at the house, and we're going to the garage. You know how we have to walk through that little gangway. Um, on the side of the house was written the same words in the same way, "Call me." And that was the weirdest thing. How the heck? So it's showing up from lunch from school, being like, oh, it's just a whatever, someone playing around, to now it's written on the side of my house where I live. And that's when it freaked me out. And I just thought it was, I don't know, to this day, thinking about it, like it is a little freaky. Because who could have done that? Someone would have to have found out where I lived. um and that's why I think it's pretty scary, because again, that fear of the unknown. I don't know what that was about. um and no one has ever come forward and said, hey, it was me messing around with you, or this or that. So yeah, that's my little freaky story.
So I don't. Did you ever tell this? I don't think I knew about this. This is messed up.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think I told you. Maybe Alex I told, but yeah. I mean, right? It's weird.
the fact that it came up in three and you already have this thing with the number three, because you always tend to like wake up at like 3:33, and your name is Albert, and it's just where was it on the house? Was it on a sticky note or what was it?
No, it was written like as if someone took like a rock and just like scratched the side of the house. Because the
And it
side of
said
the house
call.
is like brick or whatever.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Oh, that's even worse.
Yes, that's why. Yeah, no, it's what I mean.
That
Our
is
listeners don't know, but like we're very, I think, a secure house. Like, whenever when we used to live at the house, I think like we would always notice all the little things. If someone opened the front gate to our house, if someone
Mhm.
walked down the stairs, we would always take notice. If it wasn't us, then it was my dad. And me, one of my favorite pastimes was always looking out the window. So,
Yeah.
just to see what's out there. Um, but so for something like that to happen without us noticing is strange,
No, that's like an invasion. That's an invasion of like property. That's no hell no. I'd be like, what the
yeah,
I'd be-
that's why it's not supernatural, but I mean, I've come to terms like that. It had to have been a friend. It had to have been someone like that. And but then I start asking questions like, well, none of the friends ever fessed up to it, and how would a friend get access to those lunch cards before the teacher? The teacher would get them, and unless, I don't know. I mean, but yeah, that's
yeah,
that's
because I
weird
don't.
story number one.
Yeah, because I mean, I remember when they would pass out those little white lunch cards, with her name and those numbers on them or whatever. But I can't remember if it was, did the teacher pass them out? I always felt like maybe the kids were designated. Like you would always have like a chore, or whatever. Like, oh, you're gonna be the one that's outside at 3 p.m. With the barricades, and
Oh
you're gonna
yeah.
be the punch card. But no, the fact that it happened in class. Because I mean, I can be like, "Oh man, that was totally me. I'm such a fucking asshole." I would do that to you. But obviously, I would not have access to you. You know, in school, because by that time I think I was already in high school. Um,
Yeah.
if it was one of your later grades, and it's like, Yeah, no, that is well, I guess so. There's the poopy.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's coming out.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
oh yeah, no, that's messed up. Now, yeah, I don't feel so secure.
yeah, I mean that I think that's one of the first times I ever like really freaked out at something real because again, like even if thinking like, oh, it's some sort of ghost or something, like no, it was something physical. Someone had to have done that. And
Yeah,
it's crazy, like, oh, is it really gonna be some kid that, hey, I'm gonna play a prank on this guy and go to his house and do like, yeah, it's
that's taking it far.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, but yeah, I never found out who it was or whatever. But it's cool that it happened because I think it does make for an interesting story. I wish there was
Yeah.
like more detail, or I might have forgotten other details. I don't know, but yeah, that was
We're
pretty much it. Uh,
Yeah, I'm gonna Wikipedia this later, and we're gonna find out that there was like this serial killer, and if you ever called, he'd kill you. So you probably like saved yourself by never calling the number.
yeah. But I was gonna say maybe we can take a break and then come back with that second story.
Scary story number two.
Yeah. So this story is in line with the story that you told about aliens. Um, yeah, I've never outgrown my fear of them. Um, I think they just they freak me out. Ghosts. I think whenever they're portrayed, they're kind of just like, and like they mumble, and sometimes like they're not like intelligent beings. You know what I mean? Um, but with aliens, I feel like what makes them scary is like these guys have a purpose, and they're super intelligent, and they're gonna come at you like it's a job. We're just gonna do this as a matter of fact, and we're gonna take you back into our spaceship, and we're gonna research and experiment on you. And and they have no regard for your feelings. They don't care if you feel ashamed. They don't care about any of that. um
No,
so
we're just ants. We're just
yeah.
ants to them.
I mean, yeah, so they're, to me, they're still very, very terrifying. um but the story that I wanted to tell was, again, when I was living back at the house, not this house. And I was sleeping by myself in that room. And the bed was right next to the window. It's always been there. And sometimes that window would freak me out. I think, like how you were saying, because that's where they can come in. and
Yeah,
and like I got nowhere else to run. um, so they could easily get me from there. So this one night, um, man, I felt it, and I the little that I remember was I think I was just like having a fun day. I was at like some amusement park, like Six Flags or something, and I was on a roller coaster, and then things just started to go downhill from there. Um, and so it's kind of weird. Well, okay, so I think my mind started going and thinking, like, the first thought that I had was, don't think about her. Don't do it. Do not think about, oh, wait a minute. You thinking about her now gives her power. Great. Now she found us, and now we're dead. So
gee,
yeah. So the idea was that there was some sort of, oh, you know who it was? Raggedy Ann from The
yeah,
Conjuring. Okay, so So I don't know if you've ever seen Raggedy Ann, the actual thing from The Conjuring, what it's based on. Um,
The
it's that
original doll, not
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, not that Annabelle bull. Uh,
yeah,
but
not
the
the
Raggedy
porcelain
Ann
like
doll, yeah, the Raggedy Ann doll is much more terrifying. I think there's a picture of the, what are their names? The Warrens. Um,
the Warren.
yeah, there's a picture of them like holding the doll and like removing it from the property. And I think when I saw that picture late at night, it must have crept into my dreams, and my mind started forming this whole thing where, because she is real, like, regardless if she has powers or not, it is something that they think happened or whatever. Um, but my dream started pushing me in the direction that, like, if you think about her, you give her energy, you give her power, and she knows that you're the one thinking about her. So that started freaking me out. And I think in reality I started sweating. I and and this is where it got really bad, because like I said, I was on a roller coaster trying to not think about it, but by then it was too late. Once you start thinking about it, it's already there. um and so I start sweating, I start getting hot, and I'm feeling all of this. I'm feeling it all in real time, like on my body. And that's when I see a bright light, and the next thing I know is I'm on board a spaceship. I'm with a bunch of aliens on their bed, and they're just going at me. They're examining me. They're looking at me in every which way, and I'm feeling this heat, and and I start crying. I start tearing up, and there's nothing I can do. And and I I eventually wake up, and this is where it gets even worse. That, like, I wake up in real life, and I can't move. My body just won't move, but my eyes start going back and forth, and again I start crying. I can feel the warm tear running down the side of my face, and I didn't know what to do. I I felt someone was behind me, like right above my head. Um and I knew it was an alien that had brought me back to make sure that I just didn't say anything, and he was just making sure that I looked normal enough that he could drop me off. And I was trying my best to escape. I was trying my best to call out for someone, and I think it took me a few tries, but I was like, help, help, help me, and that's when it stopped. I was let go. I could finally move, but after all that, like, my eyes were watery, I was sweating, there were still tears on me, and I felt terrible. It was that, I want to say, was the worst. Like, that was the scariest thing I've ever been through. um and nothing's ever come close to that. um and after that, I had researched and found out that I guess that's a phenomenon that some people have experienced. uh some people call it the old hag's curse, or
Hmm.
it's just sleep paralysis, I think.
Yeah,
um
that's what I was
and
saying.
yeah, and it is legit terrible. I mean, it's, you really do feel like something is above you and to the side of you, behind you, and you cannot do anything about it. And I really wonder why the body thinks like it's some sort of danger, but but yeah, I couldn't speak. Like even asking for help, I couldn't do that. I couldn't move, and it was a terrible experience. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I have, and not to the extent that you probably experienced because yours sounded worse, but yeah, I mean, we can probably continue that as week. Hopefully, you're supposed to get our youngest, our baby brother, on here to talk about it, to talk about any weird stuff that's happened with him. I also have one weird story, so I'll bring that up. But
Okay.
but yeah, no, I mean, I've never heard those stories, and yeah, that first one really freaked me out because I was like, who the hell would do that?
Maybe I should have
Uh,
ended on that one.
yeah,
um,
to that alien one, the paralysis thing. Ugh, yeah. I mean, but we can continue it. But yeah, get to watching some horror movies so we can do Halloween is coming up, like the actual Halloween ends or whatever.
yeah,
So maybe we should do one of those.
yeah. Halloween ends for now.
Ugh, yeah,
um,
until we need more money.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, whoever's listening to this, you enjoyed it or thought it was, at the very least, hopefully you think, well, that was weird. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, hopefully we get some other people to share their stories,
Hmm.
because I love hearing these stories, probably more than telling them because I got nothing to tell. But yeah, so I'm excited. Um, but yeah, thank you for joining us, and we hope to hear from you, see you, whatever. We love you.
We do.
Yeah, we do. All right, bye
Yes.
bye.
All right. See ya. See ya.